This is B.Friesen with AEP803 with assignment 3, starting to research some different ideas on differentiated instruction in the classroom. Now, this topic is obviously a hot topic, and it's one that has been around since about 1985 as far as ways in which we can try and meet individual student needs, trying to link what students are interested in into the content that they are actually studying. Now, there's really three areas in which we can look at with differentiated instruction. We can look at the content and make changes to that as far as the difficulty level and how it's presented. The strategies might be different as far as how the teacher presents the material, how the students work with the material, and of course then also the assessment as well, which is another topic, is multiple assessments, giving students the options of being able to show how well they know the topic in a variety of ways. And this is even more of a challenge now because of our classes are becoming more and more multi-ethnic with the ELL, special ed, gifted, at-risk, and a lot of different labels as well. The concern we have is in our 7th grade classroom, we're in a Cimarron Junior Senior High School, and in our 7th grade, as students come over from the elementary school, number one, we are fortunate to have paraprofessionals, but not enough to be able to meet the needs of every single special ed student or ELL student. And so what happens in the 7th grade is they tend to get put into one class so that we can have one para for special ed and one para for ELL. Now the challenge this presents is in a year like this year where we have a larger class with 65 students, about 21, 22 in each classroom, and a larger number of special ed and ELL students. That means that really the ELL and special ed take up about 2/3 of the class, and then you also have some at-risk, maybe even sometimes some gifted students. So how can we use differentiated instruction to meet the needs of every one of those students with such a variety of different ways in which they learn? The research question, how can I plan effectively for each group? Differentiated instruction is not necessarily looking at every single student, but it's looking at groups of students and how can I plan to try and teach each one of those groups of students and meet their needs. At the same time, what strategies do I use? Which ones are most effective for each of those groups as far as allowing them to become engaged in the material, but also and obviously to score better. And what are some multiple assessments for each group? What are some ways in which I can develop some assessments to be able to give the students options, but also still hold them accountable for the standards in which they need to meet? And that comes up to the purpose statement. How can differentiated instruction improve the success of all the different students, and especially trying to focus on the English language learners, the special ed, and in this purpose statement it becomes even more difficult in some ways because sometimes our ELL are the special ed, and so there's several students in one class in particular that are in both groups. And of course then there's also some at-risk students in that same classroom. For a variety of reasons they struggle, whether it be lack of parental support or whether it be simply that maybe they've come from a different district and they don't have the different skills that they may need. So for a variety of reasons, there's at-risk students in that same classroom. Now, the hypothesis is simple. Obviously, if I try and plan and differentiate that instruction, I think it will improve student performance on a formative test, one that I create as we go through the different units that we're going to be looking at. With the appropriate educational services. Obviously, the ELL and the special ed have paraprofessionals, and by law, especially the special ed, they need to work with those students. Now, they can work with a combination of others as well, but they have to be involved with those special ed students, and to some degree also the ELL as well. So there is a combination here of both differentiated instruction and also the proper support as well. Now, evidence, obviously, one of the things we're going to look at is both pre and post tests, and hopefully there's some improvement of what they know and then how much they increase. The other idea is to look at their time on task and make sure that they are engaged in the lesson and that they're focused on what the paraprofessional or the teacher or whatever the task is that they're focused on it for a majority of the class time, and also to close that gap between the regular education students and the ELL, special ed, and at-risk. Is there a way to make sure that they're all meeting those needs? And maybe the regular ed are going above and beyond, but hopefully we're at least meeting those needs of those basic standards of the ELL and special ed and at-risk students. This is Bob Friesen with taking a look at differentiated instruction in the classroom.